Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And hi ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin by introducing myself. My name is Muhd Haziq bin Samad. My metric number is 0308271305730001. I am student Open University Malaysia in Miri Sarawak Learning Center. I am taking course in Diploma in Management. For this semester, OUMH1303 English for Oral Communication is to report a speech about the topic of animals. So today I am going to report a speech titled Deer, a Difficult Issue. On the one hand, deer is a native species and a beautiful creature. On the other hand, the deer population is way out of balance for a healthy ecosystem. In other words, beyond what is called the carrying capacity of the land. This is true not only in the suburbs but out in the wild. It affects the health of our forests. Woodlands are particularly hard hit with deer eating anything they can find just to survive. And this includes tree seedlings that would otherwise be the basis for continuing healthy forests. This isn't in the best interest of people, other wildlife, or the deer themselves. Killing of predators is probably a big reason the deer population grew out of control. Why can't we humans respect functioning ecosystems? I was surprised to learn that many decades ago the deer population was so low that spotting a deer was a news item. I'm glad that the population rebounded, so we haven't had to add yet another creature to the list of extinctions. But policies, often promoted by hunters I've read, that encourages the deer population were too successful, which isn't good for the health of our natural areas, for our communities, or even for the deer. In the cities and suburbs, this deer family is commonly munching on some of the vegetation in our farmyard, but we have so many plants, we don't notice as much damage as there might be in yards with fewer plants. We also have quite a few plants such as spice bush that aren't tasty. This deer is commonly walking between our house and our neighbor's house, but our neighborhood doesn't have the resources to support these large mammals. And car-deer collisions are a hazard not just to deer, but to people. This deer is running across our residential street. Home landscapes. No one needs to tell homeowners what a burgeoning deer population means for their home landscape. Sadly, people who will otherwise want to plant lots of native plants are discouraged from doing so. Why buy plants only to have them eaten to the ground? Although there aren't a big problem in our yard, many people find it very discouraging and they often give up planting anything other than deer-resistant plants, which aren't always beneficial natives. A tragedy. What is this line on the row of arborvitaes we saw on our neighborhood walks, above where deer could browse? Solutions. Clearly, we have a problem that requires a community conversation. So far, it appears to me that this conversation has been sabotaged by groups at the extremes, hunters who simply want a large deer population for hunting, but also by people who are unwilling to consider many effective ways to reduce the population. Some of the initially more appealing options, such as birth control, do not appear to be viable solutions. We appreciate and value wildlife, but we must value healthy ecosystems and believe healthy ecosystems are ultimately the best for both animals and people. And clearly, we want any solutions to be humane. Sadly, we come to the conclusion that this will probably have to include culling the herd, but humanely, not just letting anyone with a gun go shooting wildly in the woods. And the resulting harvest should be used for food pantries being a likely destination. Anyone who is not vegan or not carefully sourcing their food is already participating in inhumane treatment of food animals anyway. Whatever route is chosen, a solution must be found as soon as possible. Occasionally, people ask me whether I ever factor the carrying capacity of the land for deer and other species into my thinking. Reversing this concept, I like to ask a different question. What is the carrying capacity of the land for turfgrass? Why don't we question the wisdom of our planting choices before ruling out the ability of our landscapes to support life? The carrying capacity of my land for deer is slightly greater than that of my neighbor's land down the street, even though his is twice the size. Why? Because mine is filled with plants that deer can eat. His is filled with lawn. I don't blame deer for being deer in the same way I don't blame cats for being cats or earthworms for being earthworms. Rather than casting aspersions on other animals, I examine instead the contribution of our own species to degraded habitat and the ways we can learn from those mistakes and mitigate or even reverse the damage. I garden not just for wildlife but with them, giving weight to their survival needs more than to my own cosmetic preferences. Just because I can't rejuvenate the forest around me doesn't mean I have to keep mowing down my own property. Deer visit our backyard daily to eat, but the following experimental methods have been so successful that we barely notice the nibbling in our prolific gardens. Solutions in our own yard. As homeowners, we can solve society's problem with deer, but we have come up with some solutions at least in our backyard, where we grow our fruits and vegetables. Having much of the backyard bordered by our tall hedgerow helps a lot since this provides a natural barrier. But one year, they took a heavy toll on our vegetable garden. Our solution was to add deer fencing on top of our regular fencing. Actually, after figuring out where they were coming in and living, we didn't even have to add fencing everywhere, just in a few spots where there wasn't already tall shrubs. This extra deer fencing added to the top of our existing 5-foot fence did the trick, and it's pretty much invisible except for the thin pieces of wood extending up from our fence where the net attaches. In the rest of the yard, at least when they're getting established, we've fenced some individual shrubs that they seem to munch. The fence protected this young elderberry, but now that it's grown, it no longer needs protection. But again, this helps only our yard, not the greater ecological issue of a too large deer population distorting the ecosystem beyond our yard. This is a critical situation. Thank you for your attention, for listening and watching my video presentation. I hope this has given you some ideas about the deer. Thank you.